Okay, welcome everybody. This is Thorn with the Game Design Lexicon. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Friday today, getting ready for the weekend, and all that jive. Welcome. Today we are going to be playing some more Phantasie II. If I can find my music is what I'm currently doing. Finding my music. So give me a second here. Let's see. Royalty free. What one are we going to do now? How about this one? Actually, let's do that. Don't want that full link because I know it's probably going to fail in VLC. I just want an edited one. And boink, boink. And away we go. Hey, X-Man, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Hope your Friday's going well for you here. I got my coffee, even though it's fucking lukewarm. So, chili relleno for breakfast. I've never had one for breakfast. I don't know how I feel about chili relleno. It's not always my like top one on the pick, but I don't have a problem with them at all. Like I'd rather have just like some tamales or some good breakfast burritos or something like that. I don't know why. But I am glad you are enjoying a wonderful Mexifest. Because damn, dude, you know what I miss for breakfast? I miss like when I used to actually have to commute in Houston. One of the best things is in between wherever you lived and wherever you worked, there were probably about a dozen taco trucks along the way serving friggin' breakfast burritos, and it was heaven. It's actually one of the good things I had in Utah too. We had a really awesome place called Beto's that had these breakfast burritos that were so choice. Okay, what are we doing here? Loading our flip list. Yeah, the Beto's breakfast burritos, I mean, they were huge. They were huge and they were fantastic, dude. So flip list loaded. And then now we need to load our state snapshot. There we go. That's what we're doing. Loading a snapshot. We're on snapshot 44. Yeah, I had my standard breakfast. I pretty much have the same meal for breakfast most days these days. Back when I lived in Utah, being, you know, especially in the months that it was getting cold, like when it was transitioning from warm to cold, you'd get really bad cramps. So I made it a point to eat more bananas, and that's become like a breakfast tradition for me. Is just chopped up bananas in some sort of flake cereal. My cereal of choice lately has been Raisin Bran Crunch, which is I don't know, probably more sugary than I need, but you know, whatever. So what the hell was I doing in game? It looks like I'm in Saxlingham. I know I was training up Sudden Death. He was our new fighter substitute. Tacos $2 each. Yeah, and that was the best part, is all those tacos are just, they were so cheap. And we even have a place here called I think Taco Cabana, which is really awesome for breakfast tacos, breakfast burritos. Oh man, so good. They're actually one of the few times that I prefer flour tortillas too. Flour tortillas, some nice fluffy eggs, wrap up some bacon. Throw a little salsa in there. And that's really all you need. Egg, bacon, salsa. Or one of my favorites, and you can find a lot of places that have these, is frickin' chorizo, dude. I love chorizo on a breakfast burrito. So good. Not always great for the digestive system, but oh my god. Okay, so we were, if I were remembering properly, we were leveling up Sudden Death. It was currently 4th level. Just in case, let me take a look here. Yeah, because our apparently our troll aged out and decided he was going to go all middle-aged on us, and his abilities started lowering, so he couldn't use like the equipment that he normally used. So let's get at it. Let's get at it. Let's skedaddle and get at it. That's not what I wanted to do. What do they have here, by the way? Nothing? Oh, just shit that I sold. Scrolls A and D. I got both of those. Okay. So let's get some XP for sudden death. My wonderful naming schemes here. Where am I going to go for some XP? Should I go ahead and head to the Kobold place? What? How many even hit points does he have? 71. I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad. He's a fighter and he's doing fightery things. Okay, well, let's, I don't know. Let's treat him like he has big boy pants on. He can do a slash, and that's kind of what matters. Man, now you got me hungry for Mexican food. We got some of the best Mexican food around the area we live in, too. We have this one place, like, less than a 5-minute drive from my house that has the best birria tacos I've ever had in my life, dude. They are, like, fantastic. Okay, am I going to... Yeah, let's go ahead and go over into here. What is this again? I can't even remember what this is. Didn't we already do this? Yeah, we already did all this, didn't we? So what we needed to do... Dude. That's what I missed the most from Texas when I moved to Utah. It's not like Utah didn't have Mexican food, but it was more like a traditional, like, Western Mexican food. And not like the Mexican food that we have down in southern Texas here is very particular. You know, if you live in Southern California like you do, I'm sure you probably are aware that, you know, you guys have a very particularly different take on Mexican food than pretty much anywhere else in the country, or in Mexico, really. But in Texas, it's the same thing. You know, because it's more concentrated on, like, the rancher community here. So, yeah. I'm wondering if... okay, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm pretty sure we mapped out everything. We should probably... While we're trying to level him a little, let's go ahead and pitter-patter around. Let's make sure that we got everything mapped out. I'm pretty sure we do. Oh, no. We didn't over here. That's right. Well, good. Let's get him some leveling then. Pitter patter, let's get at her. Okay. He needs to be lunging, buddy. Hey, nah, leave Wizzy alone. Yeah, I especially miss Tex-Mex, which... I mean, is decidedly very different from both Mexican and Californian Mexican. And you couldn't get that at all in Utah. I think we had one Tex-Mex restaurant when I moved there, and it closed down within the first year that I lived there. And even then, it was, like, insulting as far as being Tex-Mex, you know? Okay, so let's do our little auto-mapping thing here, make sure we got everything. Yeah, so moving back to Texas, man, one of the things that I just missed about Utah one of the things that sucked about living in Utah, and I realized it when I moved back to Texas, is the food here is just far superior, dude. I don't know what it is about people in Utah, man, but there is a lack of fucking taste buds up there. Is it 53? Yes. Oh, yeah, I remember that inn. Why am I having to remap this? Oh, because I think I screwed it up or something. I don't remember. I think Sudden Death died or something stupid like that. Because he was still, like, low level. When did you like in Utah? You want to rephrase that? When did I live in Utah? So I moved to Utah in 2006-ish. Now, I came back for like 4 years, and I lived 4 years in Austin, and then moved back to Utah in like 2011. So, and then from 2011 till just a couple years ago, I lived in Utah. So, I got my degree up there in Utah Valley University. So I lived there mainly from 2011 to about 2023. Yeah, late 23, October 23. Is that right? 23, 24, and then this is 25. Yeah, that's right. So moved back in 2023, October. And while the food is worse, I definitely liked living in Utah better. I definitely didn't like the weather. I didn't like the colder. I didn't like the lack of humidity. I didn't like being landlocked, but like the government, the environment is a lot nicer than it is here in Texas. But then again, most of what I've experienced in Texas is in Houston. And it's a particularly, you live in a big, if you live in California in like a big stretch of suburbanization, like a bunch of suburban sprawl, then you probably know how I feel. Houston is, it's a lot like LA, and then it's like the king of suburban sprawl. And it's only gotten worse since I left and came back. And I lived in Utah Valley, which this town that I lived in originally was Orem, Utah, which is just north of Provo. If you know where Brigham Young University is. The other university there is the university I went to, which is Utah Valley. And then I moved to a town closer to Lake Utah called Vineyard, and lived there. I don't know. That was about the first time I'd actually heard of Mitt Romney. But then again, that was about when I started getting deeper into politics, was about that 2012 era. And honestly, I always hear about him. Second. While I know he is a prominent Mormon and from Utah, you hear about him more in the federal politics than you do in local politics. The guy who always popped up in local politics was Mike Lee, who, if you know who Mike Lee is, you probably think Mitt Romney's an okay guy if you know who Mike Lee is. So, okay. Yeah, the whole Mormon area, I mean, the whole politics over there, even though it's a red state, it's really strange for a red state. They're oddly progressive for a red state. Did you just look up Mike Lee? Is that why you're saying wow? Okay, so I've mapped all that. No. We want to kill everything. Anything and everything. What the hell? Rangers and scribes. Oh my. Oh, yeah, dude. It's like that too. It's like that. He's a pretty horrible person. He's a pretty horrible person. I mean, Mitt Romney has actually said things that I can recall that I've respected, you know? And obviously, you know, he dipped out of politics rather than becoming part of the Trump movement. And while I don't like any Republicans per se, I definitely have a little bit more respect for the Republicans who decided that fascism wasn't the way that they were going to go and decided to leave rather than. And Mike Lee is not one of those people, by the way, that I remember anyway. Not that I can really brag here in Texas with our even worse political groups of people. Okay, so we mapped that. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, honestly, my problem with both political parties is just the lean into authoritarianism. You know, regardless of whether there's, you know, fascism on the menu or not. Both Democrats and Republicans just lean way too far into authoritarianism for my comfort. And when it comes to the Republican side, it's just a little bit sleazier, a little bit more like exploitative, a little bit more authoritarian, a little bit more just a little bit more not good, a little bit more not in the interest of the country, but in the interest of rich people, and that's really about it. So yeah, I've been oh man, dude. So I just got done watching this really interesting documentary on fascism and how fascism, at least in the times that we've known it to exist in powerful countries, how it became what it is, and the whole idea that in every instance where fascism has been a huge issue in our history, one of the first things that fascism typically does is, despite it being a left-leaning ideology, or how it normally comes to power through a right-leaning authoritarian dictator, it usually ends up co-opting the liberal side of politics, because, you know, it pulls in the liberals because the liberals are just capitalists, and the capitalists are willing to capitulate to anything that a dictator would be willing to do in the name of furthering capitalism. You know, so they'll turn a more of a blind eye to state-sanctioned violence, as long as it positively affects their bottom line, right? And I think we got that kind of going here because there's nothing like the Democratic Party the entire time that Trump is being elected, screaming, "Oh my God, he's a fascist dictator! Don't elect him!" And then once he gets elected, they're like, "Oh, we'll just cooperate with him. We'll work with him to see, you know, to minimize quote unquote damage." It's like, what happened to, you know, you punch fascisms, you punch fascists no matter what, you know? You don't work with fascists. If you work with fascists, you promote fascism. You know, fascism is really just a co-op of an authoritarian government subverting democracy in favor of the capitalist class, right? Viral video of the guy punching a Nazi. Wasn't it around before that? Isn't there like a Captain America cover of Captain America punching a Nazi? Oh yeah, dude. Don't get me started with the friggin' Roman salute stuff. And of course they're doing it like and it's like they're not serious about it. It's like they're doing it just because it's freaking people out. No, they're normalizing it. They're fucking hyper normalizing it like they always do. And that's they'll never people saying that any form of art isn't political is brain dead. That's literal brain death. When people do that, shut up and dribble thing, they don't realize that every form of artistic expression, whether it's from sports or painting or comic books or movies, it's all political expression. Every bit of it. There's no such thing as aesthetic without principle behind it. It just doesn't exist. Because all art is a product of its time, and it's literally a filter of our current reality through the mind of a human being. So you cannot have art without politics, period. Then yeah, dude, some of these people are just delusional about whether of what they think about, and admittedly, art's supposed to do this. Artists aren't supposed to explain their art. They're supposed to allow people to explain how it evoked them to feel. But what they don't realize is that a lot of people, here's a good example, right? Sun Tzu's The Art of War, right? When Sun Tzu wrote The Art of War, he wrote it as a guide for generals to be successful on the battlefield, right? Now people read it because when you read it, it's more interpretative as conflict resolution, right? And they say that depending on when you read it in your life, will greatly determine the meaning that you get from it. Sun Tzu's Art of War will mean something completely different when you're in your mid-50s than when you read it in your late teens, because of course your life, the reality around you is different, and that's art interpretation right there. That is the interpretation of art, and people will bleed their own reality into art. The problem is the right have really poor media literacy, and they rarely take in the situation revolving around the art when it was made to consider what it actually means. So they interpret it completely wrong, And then something like Andor comes out, which is explicitly anti-fascist, and they just freak out, right? It's like they don't realize that Star Wars started out as fucking anti-capitalist, anti-fascist. Yeah, one hell of an understatement. I have no way of actually stating that to the extreme that it's actually become, other than stating it plainly. The right have a very poor understanding of media literacy. But then again, you're talking about the side of the aisle who is more prone to reinterpreting history to suit their narrative. So, it's by design. It's by design. I mean, you can point out how stupid they are. You can point out that they're just not understanding it or getting it. You can show them what's happening at that time. But I mean, you've seen the lost cause theory. You've seen the repositioning of Nazi Germany recently as not so bad. Which it's like, what? It's like, what planet are you on? You've seen, the whole slavery argument is still going on, where we have groups of people that are like, oh yeah, it was really good for the slaves. Oh. What? You're talking about slavery, dude. Slavery's not good for the slaves. Period. It's just good for the people exploiting them. Just period. Like there's no furtherment to that argument. It doesn't matter if they treat their slaves well. They're still slaves. They're still being their labor is still being stolen from them. Well, I mean, rewriting history into a nationalist narrative is how you get fascism to work. That's the only way you can get it to work. You can't. You have to rewrite. You have to turn willful ignorance into arrogance for fascism to thrive. It's the only way you can do it. Because you can't look at, you can't honestly look at the formation of our country and say, oh no, it was a wonderful event, despite the fact that it was born on the backs of slavery and didn't actually become more of the nation that we know it for until the Civil War, and that portion of it was rewritten. And then again in the 1950s and 60s, when civil rights started poking its head up, and rewrote it all again. I mean, and of course the colonialism beginning of our country too. You just can't. Hey, Retro Home Brew, welcome to the stream. Listening to me bitch about politics. And the reinterpretation of history. One color, 32 by 32 in one color, dude. Not to mention, on top of that, I was having this conversation with one of the guys on my YouTube. It's pretty obvious the guys who made this game weren't pixel artists. Like, the most talented pixel artist drawing was the title image, and you can tell that they paid for that. They had to have paid somebody for that. Everything else is just kind of a little on the mediocre side, or worse. As a matter of fact, it was this specific sprite he was commenting on. He said it looked like an old man with a cane yelling, "Get off my lawn." Anti-colonial politics, Sal. That's, the more I learn about politics, the more I learn that, it's not like, it's not really like saying that I'm a Marxist is anything worth anything. I mean, the only reason why I am a Marxist is because I don't really think there's any other system that I know of that is currently worthwhile. What it all boils down to is that I'm not as much of a Marxist as I am an anti-authoritarian, an anti-oppressive system person. I don't believe, I'm against any type of oppression, anti-non-equality. I don't believe, anti-colonial, anti-apartheid, anti-fascist, exactly. You put in there anti-patriarchy, anti-white supremacy, which, I mean, capitalism is pretty much perched off of what I consider the triad of oppression, which is colonialism, patriarchy, and white supremacy. So, hey, how about that? What a wonderful time for a break. Anyway, this is Thorn with the Game Design Lexicon. We are currently talking history and geopolitics while we play some Phantasie II. If you do like our content, make sure you give us a follow down here on Twitch, where we do stream currently Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, noon p.m. till 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. At the very least, I'm a democratic socialist, and you know, that's at least you're progressive. You know, that's the only thing that I can really say to that. At least you're progressive. You're not pro-establishment like our current Democratic Party is, which they're not even progressive anymore. They're pretty much conservative, and then regressive like their current Conservative Party is. Anyway, what else? Oh, YouTube. You can catch our stuff over on YouTube. Just subscribe and hit the subscribe and the alert button to know we're coming out with new videos. I'm going to take a short music break, and I will be back probably with some more political talk and some more Phantasie II.